GM, everyone.
GM,
Welcome.
GM.
GM. How you doing, Dill? What's up?
Doing good, man. Happy to be here. Just hanging in there with this crazy crypto market.
You know, yeah, I don't want to touch on that too much because the depression I feel, it's actually not that bad. I never overextended, but when you find the courage to look at your portfolio and you realize that you're down 50, 60%, it's not the best time. But despite that, I'm still equally as excited to continue growing in this space. So no dramas whatsoever. Usually I begin this space with music, but this morning I'm sat by the beach. The day was way too nice. It's been freezing on the Gold Coast, Australia, where I live, but it's beautiful today. So I'm currently sitting on a park bench right near the beach having this conversation. So welcome, everyone. Let's bring everyone up. I can see Reason is in here. Hello. Dr. Soundwaves, what's up? Kolob is here. Webstock is on stage. How you doing, my man?
What up? I'm doing great, Lowly. Sounds like you had a great beat today, man. You deserve it. You're working so hard.
Oh, thank you, dude. Thank you. I mean, yeah, I try and come down to the beach whenever the weather's good in the morning. Otherwise, I find I'm stuck in my artificial studio lighting all day, which is nice. You know, I talk to Google. I'm like, hey, Google, make lights purple. And the lights go purple. And that's always good with the, the atmosphere. But you get very white skin. And I'm a very white person. And so I need a tan. And so that's why I'm out here today.
You need not explain yourself, Lowly. If I lived in Australia by a beach, I'd be there all the fucking time.
Yeah, actually, I went to the beach too this weekend. Some of our dear friends got married in Bermuda, so I had a much-needed Bermuda beach adventure this weekend. I much-needed calm before the storm, before NFT NYC, but now I'm back in the thick of it, and it's like, holy fucking shit, NFT NYC is next week. Oh my god, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, man, NFT NYC sounds like the entirety of the Web3 space is attending. It's going to be so fun, and I will be here at the beach. I'll still be here at the beach, but I'm going to live vicariously through you, Brian. I'm going to put your notifications on and just hope you post like every 3 minutes or so.
You already know I got that covered.
We do. I'm going to do a quick post out of the room to get some people in here, just because that's usually what I do. But Dill, by chance, are you by your magical technology, your Web3 radio technology, to play a song whilst I do a post out?
Let's see. I might be able to do a little something. I'll just pull up some music and put it on here. We also have my Crypto Rich account in the room. I figured I would record this episode and also release it through the Music NFT Radio podcast, if that's cool with you. Thought it might be a cool idea. So yeah, this is recorded right now for Music NFT Radio podcast 2. We've got an interview series and a podcast coming out of Music NFT Radio. But usually we just play hit music all day, the hits of Web3. We love playing artists from the space. So I'll throw something on. I don't have the iRig all set up right now. I'll just play it out of my computer here.
Yeah, let's do like 2.5 minutes of something while we do a post out. By the way, if anyone wants to do a retweet of the room or tweet it out, let's get some people in here. These rooms are designed to hold brainstorming conversations about the current state of music NFTs. And so the last one was extremely valuable. Like, there were so many incredible insights that Seth and I have been dissecting on the back end. And we held one with Oniforce and a few other individuals yesterday, which was so great to talk about the generative side of things. And here we are again today. So yeah, by all means, post it out. We're going to hear from Dill now for about 2.5 minutes, and we'll get straight into it after that.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, I decided I'm going to play an unreleased song. So I've got some unreleased music for y'all. I'm also going to be performing some unreleased music at Webstock, I decided too. So at Webstock, I'm just going to do some raw, unreleased stuff. Here's one of my songs. This is called Rugged. All right, hold on a second. I have to get it. I was
You got
all
rugged, bro.
yeah, I
got
got
rugged.
rugged.
Rugs got rugged.
I was all set up to play in the metaverse, everyone. So I gotta pull my setup out of the metaverse here. Let's see if I can get it working.
That's so 2022, bro.
I know. All right, it's not exactly working yet.
But yo, it's gonna be fire. Actually, Dill, if I could just elaborate
Here we
on
go.
that, so we're gonna have drums and shit. So like we can do some crazy live improv at website. It's gonna be tight. Anyway, back to Dill.
Awesome, man. Yeah, that's great. I was planning on doing a GM live with Taylor Alexander too. I think he's been working on that. So it's going to be a fun time at Webstock. I can't wait. Here's one of them. This is Rugged. It should play. Now let's try it this time. There we go. How can I entertain myself? Is it all a dream? I feel awake, and I don't wanna blame myself. When it comes to you, I feel ashamed. I should've left you back where you belong, but I was wrong. You took my trust and gave me nothing, just another rug. And now I'm back here with a vengeance just to fuck it up. You think that you were clever rugging me, well I ain't rugged enough. And I'll be honest, even if they try to do me wrong, these other artists, they be rugging, then they moving out. I keep my conscience clear cause my collector staying strong. The diamond handed, focus on my vision, I be making songs. How can I entertain myself? Is it all a dream? I feel awake, and I don't wanna blame myself. When it comes to you, I feel ashamed. Got everybody rugged right now. We be vibing up the drugs right now. Give a fuck about hate, need love right now. Dev's got pay, you got love right now. Hold up. Smoking weed and buying NFTs, I'm fitting in. I say good morning before I brush my teeth and hit the gym. I tap on Discord just to check up on my messages. I had to make them private, redefining what relentless is. I need my people, they just love me cause they see my heart. Explain in 30 seconds, man, that shit is kinda hard. But I've been 30 crypto records deep and hit the charts. Tell them if they sleep on me, they sleeping on a fucking star. How can I entertain myself? Is it all a dream? I feel awake, and I don't wanna blame myself. When it comes to you, I feel ashamed. Got everybody rugged right now. We be vibing off the drugs right now. Give a fuck about hate, need love right now. Devs got paid, you got rugged right now. That's my song, Rugged.
Let's go, dude. You've got a sexy voice. I gotta say, I'm here. Like, I'm not wearing a shirt right now on the beach, and you're lucky I'm wearing pants. I'll just say that.
Let's go. That
Dude,
is quite a
it
compliment
is sexy,
coming
dude.
from you, sir.
You got some Kid Cudi vibes in that chorus, bro. I'm really digging that melody.
Thank you. I actually think that second verse is one of the best NFT verses I've ever written. It goes, smoking weed and buying NFTs, I'm fitting in. I say good morning before I brush my teeth and hit the gym. I tap on Discord just to check up on my messages. I had to keep them private, redefining what relentless is. I think my people, they just love me because they see my heart. Yo, that shit, that is probably one of the best ones. But yeah, that's going to be on the NFT mixtape. So a lot of cool new music coming. But man, we got a lot going on too with Webstock. So I'm excited to get into this and talk a little bit about that and talk a little bit about music NFT radio and what we've been building over there. But thanks for letting me share that.
Of course, my guy. I appreciate you for sharing it. I did the post, so I had just enough time. And if I've ever resonated with a lyric, it's turning the messages off on Discord. Because, oh man, I was getting wrecked for about 3 or 4 months until I realized you could actually just turn the DMs off. So
Dude,
everyone do
right?
that. Yeah, honestly. But I want to say hello to a few people before we get into it. Go, hello, lovely.
Hi. You know, taking the note, being outside right now on the back porch, the chimes, The breeze is really nice. It's been 100 degrees outside every day. Right now, it finally cooled down like a couple degrees, and there's a breeze. So let's go.
You sound like you're in the Himalayas.
Why not? I'll astral project.
And the PFP you have is perfect for it as well. I'm so glad you're in a peaceful spot. Every time you speak, we get to hear the chimes, and that's glorious. Natalie, hello.
Hi, darling. How are you?
I'm good. It's been a minute. What's been happening?
Everything and everything. Shout out to all of y'all. I feel like I've been probably doing like 9,632 years. Um, but I see you. And shout out to everybody that's joined us today. Yeah, a lot of stuff is happening in Web3 and yeah, just embracing the market. We DJs love this shit. So here.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunities in a time like this if you haven't overextended too much, and so even though things are looking bleak and you look through some of the more popular spaces and you see a lot less people, some people have really taken a step back for obviously a whole range of reasons. But I think, as a lot of people say, those who remain, not just in Twitter spaces, but just those who remain in the mentality of building something interesting within this ecosystem, they're the ones who see success once it comes back around, And I've actually got a few perspectives on that I want to share, but we'll get to that soon. Reason, my man, what's up?
Yo, what's up? How you guys doing today?
Really good, dude. Appreciate you coming through.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Had to show love for sure.
I know it's been a minute for you. Like, we haven't spoken in a while either, but I'm really glad that you chose to come through. So many awesome people in this room. We're still waiting on a couple others. We've got Evan Bogart coming through, which is extremely exciting as well. He's a G. One of the first things that I was kind of interested in touching on initially was with Natalie, because we have been obviously dealing with at least a month now of a declining market. It's gotten a lot worse as of late, but it has been declining for a minute now. And you have been involved in the space for a very, very, very long time. You're a veteran, I'll say. And you're working with Blockbuster DAO, Emanate, who we spoke with about a month ago on LowlyLabs. And it's so good speaking with Sean and everyone from that team. And I'm kind of interested, seeing as the market tends to, it kind of removes people from the space. It makes people a little bit more hesitant to jump into the space. And so this is obviously a step backwards for the mainstream adoption that we speak of frequently. And so I'm interested in your perspective on how far away do you realistically see music NFTs being from genuinely being adopted by mainstream artists, by celebrity artists, by, majority of people? Like, do you think this is quite a way away, or do you think we're a little bit closer than we think?
So I have Dill knows this about me. I actually don't believe in mass scale. I believe that we should be onboarding people into the space sustainably and at a pace in which we can continue to like educate people in the way that we have at the moment. Like before the people are freaking out about the market, I am not those people. Um, you know, people are starting to like offload people into the space, and they'd always end back up in like Dill spaces or back on Clubhouse, and we'd have to kind of rinse them off of the oil slicks if they were like soaking them up. And so now we have the opportunity to kind of correct, hopefully, a little bit. My thing is that the people I've been in. Well, I learned about NFTs in 2016 and 2017 and 18. I was on Steemit until Jason sent us. Shout out to Jason, but not really. And so I've been here for way too long. I'm like a grumpy ass grandma. And so being that said, like I seen the space go from like super duper like underground and people like Vandal and DJ Lethal Skills, who I work with at Emanate. And he they were, and there's a whole bunch of other people like dotted across the globe doing like NFTs and music stuff. And even before that, like crypto music goes probably way back to like 2008, and kind of has been flourishing in the underground for a very long time. And so now we're seeing like some of these mainstream artists like drop in our spaces and ask questions. And a lot of my friends are taking consulting calls and hopefully getting their bread. But I think the real innovation lies with the community. It always has been and will continue to be that, because is a lot of red tape. There's a lot of politics. There's a lot of really interesting behaviors that some of these major record labels, and I get that some artists in the space want to be on these major record labels, but I'm always like, hey, we have to build out the ecosystem and the infrastructure and really acknowledge kind of the foresight that some of us have, to be able to build those things, and we can flourish as a space that has its own ecosystem. If big artists want to come here, and they'll continue to come. Warner's already here and partnering with POAP and other companies here, they're going to come and they're already here. But the reality is that innovation and the real shit that at least makes sense to somebody who's been in the space too damn long, lies within the Kane Mayfields. It lies in Latashas and Hinnos and, the countless others, and Webstock and MVMF, the Metaverse Music Festival, and all these cats that really spent the time here to build and understand what Web3 and the blockchain and crypto is really about. And so I don't expect, at least anytime soon, for many of these big artists to actually push the space forward. Like, we've been doing that shit for well over a decade, and in the last 3 or 4 years. And again, like, there's a whole new core group of people in the last 2 years that came on and like really took the shit to where we see it now. And so that's like, I'm always gonna like cape for the people that have been here and building the stuff. And so I think we need to stop like, we're the people we've been waiting for. Like, we can't depend on the major record labels to do that, and we're not going to onboard the millions of people until we build the infrastructure and ecosystem. And we have to move away from people being fans and go direct to community. We have to get back in the streets and sell at the trunk, digitally, and figure out what that actually looks like here. And so I'm always going to say that, never going to, because I've maneuvered around the music industry for many years and other spaces as well. And so I've seen what happens when the record label cock blocks your creative prowess and your homies and all the other things in between. And so we need to build the festivals and the projects and pipelines and the funding resources and all of those things, and not think that the record labels are going to be our saviors here. And so I know that was a long answer, but Dill knows this is about me again, and so do some of the homies in the audience, and I will always say that.
Well, this is why you're here, Natalie, because you have incredible perspectives and you articulate them so eloquently. I think for me, like, when you're looking at people who have genuinely done interesting things in the space, a lot of the innovators were never really focusing on how do we get as many people here as we possibly can. It's like, no, let's work on an idea that we think is valuable, do as best as we can with that one idea, and then eventually, if that idea is good enough, people are going to want to come and explore that and be involved in that. And as we spend so much time here, we realize there are hundreds of people creating these different mediums, marketplaces, platforms, and maybe even social media, platforms, which eventually will be good enough for people to find interest in them. If you're a crypto native and an NFT native, you like this stuff regardless. And you're like, yeah, it's clunky. Like, all these like metaverse ideas, so fucking clunky, pretty cringy half the time. But we know what the future holds for them. And so we spend time here because it's like, it's interesting to watch that evolution in real time, And so it's very interesting trying to look at what mainstream adoption means, but also doing it in a sense where you're not focusing on that. You're spending your time on your own individualized ideas and trying to push them forward. And so obviously right now, if you're an artist, you're trying to get into this, or say you are looking to get into this space as a music NFT artist. If you don't know what Twitter spaces are, you're at a disadvantage, because a lot of the rooms, or at least a lot of the educational conversations, are here. YouTube still doesn't really have that great resources. You can really dive deep and try and find things, but in comparison to other areas, YouTube still doesn't really have anything too intriguing. And so what do you do when you're an artist and you want to jump into this space? How do you find these areas to converse in? Like, what do you think we can do to assist in the ease of use of, I guess, the whole Web3 ecosystem? You know, I know that's probably quite a large question, but I would like to put that out there for anyone in the room.
I will really quickly say, and I love to hear from Dill because I miss you. I would say that Kane Mayfield, he's probably like working on this project right now, but every other day or like when he has like time, like he opens the onboarding rooms. Most of us still have those, believe it or not, and like that's a space where people can come ask questions even if they sound wild. Sometimes we drill people because some people bring their weird things into the space and try to like cut them off at the door so they correct themselves and they're able to come into the space like in a way that feels good to all of us that exist here. And so for me, like continuing to host those spaces, and I know it's sometimes like thankless work, but that's the work that we have to continue to do. And I think instead of embracing like mainstream adoption, look at, I mean, like hip hop and how that's kind of co-opted like the hip hop community and like the whole culture. Look at that as like we have foresight to like look at those things and look back at history. It wasn't actually good for the culture, I mean, to some extent. And so how do we kind of maintain the culture of the space, because there's culture here, there's a bunch of winding cultures that wind around each other. Like how do we maintain that? And instead of maybe embracing mainstream adoption, maybe we grow wide and put some rebar in the ground and grow down, instead of thinking about how do we get millions of people in here, because I think those people will come as they find the deals, as they find the reasons, as they find like the Mr. Hodlers and Canes. So like they're gonna have some people to like gravitate towards and say, hey, these people did all these damn things, or the Vandals, which all roads lead back to Vandal, or Easy and Crypto. Like we have to build that rebar before we even embrace like mainstream adoption. Like what are the consequences of embracing mainstream adoption? What are the consequences of onboarding millions? I'm gonna correct myself. Offloading millions of people onto the side of the road at a deserted gas station, and there's nowhere to go for miles. There's no fucking water. The gas station ain't got no food. This is that's mainstream adoption. What does it actually look like to embrace the onboarding kind of frameworks that we push forward in this space? What does it actually look to build ecosystems, like ecosystem building instead of mainstream adoption? And then we can start to have real conversations. And so find, you know, Henry Chatswell has a calendar like that people can go to, but we need to keep having spaces and find resource for people to continue to do that work. And that's how we'll continue to like onboard people. Maybe there's some other ways like DAOs and, which I spend way too much damn time in, that can resource those things. Maybe there are residencies that we can do in IRL. I don't know about these conferences, but maybe we can resource people doing festivals in IRL or events, or and start to grow like locally and kind of build in like a global sense, but think locally. And that way we can onboard people. And that's already what's happening now. What I'm curious as to like what other people have, what people have been thinking about in terms of that. But I'm a strong anti like mainstream adoption person, because there's hella consequences. I've been here way too many times. So
I love that. Thank you, Natalie. And I think Zach had his hand up next. How you doing first, my man? Good to see you.
Hey man, what's up? How's everybody doing? I think Zach had his hand up before.
Yeah, no, I said Zach.
Oh, my bad. I thought you said Zach.
Trying to line me already.
We're good. Yeah, what's up, guys? Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, you sound great.
Okay, cool. Yeah, dude, Jake, thanks again for having me, man. I know I told you I don't have too much time tonight, which is why I raised my hand and kind of wanted to chime in. Yeah, first off, always great being here with you guys. I've been a little distant lately and kind of just been going through, I don't know if it's like an existential crisis, but I've been really just, I went to EDC a couple weeks ago, and then the next day I went to this convention where a bunch of entrepreneurs talked, including Gary Vee. And then my man Jake sent me that thing where Russ was talking. And dude, my mind has just been going so many different places. One is to first just figure out where I can be more independent. I don't know if I've really been depressed about music lately, but I haven't been as stoked as maybe I used to a long time ago about making music. And I think a part of that, first off, is just so many different things, from YouTube to this Web3 space to collaborations to focusing on my solo music. And, you know, just as an overarching thing, you know, if music is your thing and you can connect with people, like that is your purpose. And whether you're feeling good or you're not feeling good, or you're motivated, you're not feeling good, like that is your duty to the world and to the people who your music affects. So I think at the end of the day, I always come back to that. I'm like, dude, I'm not just doing music for myself. I'm doing music for all these people who my music can affect. But in addition to that, you know, I still want to be able to take care of myself, and I still want to, you know, feel like what I'm putting out in the world is eventually going to be able to sustain me. And, you know, as an artist that's at least been a solo artist for the past, you know, 5-6 years, you know, I haven't been to the point where, you know, I've built a good financial place for myself. And I'm still working on that. You know, I mean, you know, I don't want to get on this whole rant about Spotify streaming numbers and labels and all that stuff. But yeah, at some point, I think it's affected me. It's affected me how much work I've put into music and how much monetary return I've gotten back. And, you know, Jake, thanks again for sending me that thing with Russ. And it really just got my mind working on like, dude, I just want to be more consistent. I want to figure out how to be more independent. And if I am more independent, you know, then it's going to make me want to do all these things like, you know, make 5 YouTube videos based on the song and spend money on a music video, knowing that like I'm going to get that return. But, you know, to answer the question about how do we onboard people, you know, I don't even have enough experience in the NFT music space. I've only done 2 very small drops, but I think the things that have onboarded me, and which I think, you know, regardless of mainstream adoption or anything like that, what we all need to remember is your personal testimony to another artist that doesn't know anything about the Web3 space is that's the best thing. And I think it's this one-on-one type things. You know, I think where I'm personally excited, and I was saying this from the beginning, and it's funny because I just set this up today. I was saying, you know, I want to use utility and NFTs to think about it as a very cool way to do like a Patreon. And this is my only semi-shill plug of the day, is I just set up a Patreon, and I've been thinking about how to kind of make more money as an artist, and with, you know, educating people on all the knowledge and experience I have, whether it's songwriting or vocal production or all that stuff. So, you know, I'm working on the vocal cords. I just set up a Patreon today that's going to have all this kind of stuff, from like sample packs, which I've never put out, which everyone's been asking me to put out forever, to just a bunch of stuff that I can offer people. And also just let fans and people who support me know, just the same way you'd buy a music NFT, is like, you know, it's really hard. You know, Violetta's talked about it. So many people have talked about it, about, you know, you put so many things out into the world on Spotify, and, you know, it's depressing when no one can hear it and there's really no support. So I think that's why I made a Patreon. That's why I'm excited to finally get, you know, my community and my NFTs going, because I want to let people know, just as like something like Patreon is like, this is a way for, not only can you invest in me, but this is a way for you to really support me and be a part of this community. And, you know, when you're a super fan or a collector, it's like, I'm going to give you guys things. I'm going to give you guys educational stuff. I'm going to give you guys resources. I'm going to give you access to me. I'm going to give you, you know, samples that no one else gets. So yeah, I guess that's kind of it right now, but I've just been so, this last like couple weeks, I've really just been, my mind's been in 1,000 different places. One is like, what makes you happy, bro? And 2 is like, let's try to figure out, you know, I feel like, you know, like all the signs in the world have been like telling me like, dude, you're sitting on like a gold mine. You just got to figure out how to like get the tools and the machinery in to mine the gold or to mine the oil. And I'm really starting to focus in, and yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. But Lowly, thank you guys so much for having me. Oh, and actually I had one more question. Dill, with the market right now, are you really still smoking weed and buying NFTs? Love you, man. Good to see you too.
Let's go. Yes, of course, man. I am. I'm still here, still kicking, you know. I feel you, man. I mean, there's just so many different things that you can do as a music artist. You know, you can put your time in trying to sell NFTs. You can try to make TikToks. You can work on stuff that'll hopefully help your YouTube or streaming in some way, right? So I feel you on just like being kind of, you know, needing to realign, I guess. What I find is like I focus on different things at different times, and that's okay. Like sometimes I'm making music, I'm in the studio, and that's what I'm focused on. Sometimes I'm just grinding and degenning on NFTs, and that's what I'm focused on, right? And I try to connect the strategy together to make it cohesive, right? And I think that's definitely working, and it'll continue working more and more as the brand grows and as people understand NFTs more and stuff like that. But for me personally, I'm just like, look, NFTs is this huge opportunity. We're here early. Putting in the time to build your community now is really important. But I feel you, man. It's like sometimes it's good. You've already made a splash in NFTs, so like maybe it's time to focus on some other stuff. There was a time, like when I was probably like the summer of last year, like maybe a little bit over a year ago, maybe the spring. It was after I had my first NFT sale started. I like sold some NFTs, but then the market slowed down and I lost a little bit of momentum. And this was like, before Twitter Spaces, kind of after I'd been on Clubhouse grinding for months with Natalie and others. So, yeah, I mean, at that time, I kind of focused on making new music and making music videos and other things for a bit. So, I think that's normal, just needing some time to kind of realign and readjust. But the NFT space is going to be here, and you've already made a good splash. Just make sure to tap in every once in a while. Try to get on your community at least once a day and just say what's up, or at least a couple times a week.
Yeah,
I appreciate that, though.
I'd love to quickly just jump in, and then I can obviously see the hands too. Is that there is nothing wrong with taking some time out to really collect your thoughts and identify who you want to be, not just as an artist, but as a person. I think that social media, obviously, and we speak about it all the time, makes us feel like we need to be quick because everyone is releasing something all the time and everyone's successful apparently when they're not. You only see the best section of everyone's lives. And then when you jump into Web3, it speeds up even more. And that's because the market is quick. And so we feel like we need to be quick and we need to have a brand new collection every single, every 2 months. Otherwise, we're falling behind. And it's not the case. I think it's something we tell ourselves. And if you really look into the definition of an artist, like what's the definition of an artist? It's like they're people who genuinely spend time on creating authentic things. And they're more introspective, they're more delicate, they're more sensitive. They think into things and take their time creating that artistry. And we lose that because we end up becoming content creators. And so that always brings up the conversation of where do you walk the line and how do you walk the line between authentic artistry and entrepreneurialism and business, because we want success as well. And that's a difficult thing. But I feel like there is a way to do that which is completely subjective, and it's going to be based off of your own, how do you say, like how much energy you have in particular areas, and so how much do you want to spend on the business, how much do you want to spend on the music? Do that, and hopefully as you grow and as you expand and even spend time in spaces, you find the people who can assist you alongside, like with your vision, and that's something which I've been slowly but surely trying to locate within LowlyLabs, within Jacob Lee, all these different things. It's like I can't do everything. If I do everything, I burn out very quickly. And then, you spend 3 or 4 days hustling as hard as you possibly can. And then you feel like you burn out and you take a week or two off. Is that really productive? It's like, no, going slower is faster a lot of the time. Taking your time is a lot quicker and a lot more productive than just fucking smashing workout and trying to get things out as quickly as you can. So I'm glad you took some time off, man. It's necessary. And your mental health is so much more important than anything, literally, like it is. And so when you're in a more, profound state of mind where you're feeling that inspiration, which you are now, that's when you can start to really like put things in place. But if you're feeling burnt out, it's a lot better to just take a few days, fuck off social media for a while, and you'll find that your intuition comes forward and it gets louder and it kind of just tells you what you need. And that's a beautiful thing. So I just wanted to say that.
Dude, thank you, Jake. Yeah, I just want to say one more thing. I got to run in a second here, but I definitely wanted to touch base with everybody. I don't know if anyone knows who Alex Hormozy is, but I was listening to him speak the other week, and I just saw this tweet again. It's someone else tweeted it, but I think it's perfectly for what we're talking about. It says 90% of success can be boiled down to consistently doing the obvious thing for an uncommonly long period of time without convincing yourself that you're smarter than you are. And I think that's like, yeah, man, completely like what you said. Jake, I just had one more question for you, man. And it was something I was thinking about. And do you have a manager? Do you have someone that's like, I know you've been independent. I know you have people you work with, but my last question before I go is do you have someone that manages your, or do you manage everything?
I personally don't have a manager. I've never had one, and that's not to say you shouldn't. I'm sure there'd be a lot of things which would be easier if I did. Personally, I just haven't found the person who aligns with me as much as I would like. And so instead, what I've done is build my own team from the ground up. So I found like an assistant who's been extremely valuable. We've worked together for a year, and she's the individual who I bounce a lot of my ideas off, and she can assist in a lot of the day-to-day things too, which, you know, alleviates a lot, so I can go and create or host these rooms and stuff like that. And Seth, who's up here as Kolob, he's been assisting in the growth of LowlyLabs. And I find that if you can really, whether it be through Twitter, Instagram, like wherever it is you network, slowly but surely find the people who you genuinely resonate with, but who are also equally talented, then you can find your own team, you know? So I've got like a videography team, cinematography, like graphic designers, photographers. And that took me a fair few years to find the people who I wanted to continuously work with and who also continuously wanted to work with me. So, you know, I think that takes a little bit longer, but then I'm not really giving a percentage away. I'm just kind of paying people to assist me. And they genuinely resonate with my personality, as do I with theirs. So long answer short, no.
I love it, dude. And if anyone has not read the thread that is posted on Lowly's personal page, please do yourself a massive favor and just get up every morning and read that thing. Because, dude, I honestly, like I told you in that message, I want to get up. I want to like print that out and put it on my wall. But anyways, guys, Tuesday nights I have this little disc golf league that's my kind of therapy and stuff like that. So I'll be listening in. I probably won't be able to talk too much, but I just want to say thank you guys so much for having me. Jake, keep killing it, man. Everyone on this stage inspires me so much, and you guys are honestly the reason why you know, I have so much faith in the Web3 space. So love you guys.
Hell yeah, man. Lowly, that's interesting to hear. I'm in the same boat. I don't have a manager. I have never had one. I haven't found the right vibe, but I work with a bunch of different like videographers, photographers. Just like you said, it's taken me a few years to find the right people. So yeah, I mean, you can do a lot yourself. But if you do have the opportunity to have like really the right person, then that can be good. Like actually at some point, like during the last crypto bear market, one of my business partners in my crypto business was helping me with some stuff, almost like a manager. And that was cool. But yeah, I think something like an assistant or something like that could be a good move. But one thing I've always tried to do is pay artists and collaborators and stuff like that up front, like Lowly said, and that way you can keep 100% ownership and still get everyone paid fairly for their work and their time and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a lot we could go into with the independent artistry thing, and we can definitely jump into that later if the conversation goes there. The final couple sentences I'll say in regards to this, and I wrote this in the thread too, is that for most of my career, until maybe 2 years ago, I thought solopreneurialism, like being a solopreneur, was admirable. I'm like, I'm doing everything, like, holy, yeah, you know, like I'm literally like just smashing everything, like, and I'm keeping up with all the people who are represented. And it's fucking lame, dude. It's like, it's egotistical. Like, find people, like work with people. And I know like Web3 really pushes that narrative too. You can't really do much here unless you've got a team. And not to say it's impossible, nothing's impossible, but a team, firstly, is so much more enjoyable. You've got people to bounce off, you can speak to them every single day, and you're not doing every single thing yourself. It's a lot better. So if you are currently in the place of thinking that doing every single thing of your business alone is an admirable thing, maybe reshape that thought, because there's a ceiling on that. You know, if you really want to expand and really want to leave a mark on the world, you're going to need people to help. So, who was next? Whose hand was next? Was it Sahtyre?
What's up? What's up, brother? I appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me.
Nice to see you.
Man, likewise. Yeah, this is a fucking interesting conversation. I really want to echo a couple of the things that Natalie was talking about, as far as it comes to mass adoption. I feel like that shouldn't even necessarily be the goal. You know, that kind of just happens naturally over time anyway. And when you look at it, the vast majority of, music listeners are not connoisseurs. They're getting, their music playlists force fed to them via algorithms. They don't really even honestly know what they like. They just get told what they like. It's a small percentage of motherfuckers that actually are the super fans that are buying all the merch and everything, you know, the memorabilia, coming to shows, tickets, stuff like that. Those are the people, the true, patrons of the arts that I think the tools that, everything in Web3 offers us really holds the most value for, as opposed to worrying about getting everybody to be down with it. It's really about, like what she was saying, it's about, we don't even have this shit figured out yet ourselves. So it's like, it's about really working on, and which is, happening naturally with all of the, crazy minds and creative people that we have, doing so many different things. Getting everything better, getting it easier, making it easier to pay, making it easier to just pay with the credit card and transfer instantly to crypto and buy a song, buy an experience. Even the term music NFT is kind of like degrading to it, like to the true like ability and like potential of it to me. Like, especially if you're trying to talk about eventual mass adoption, like people, the average person's not trying to, that sounds like some nerdy shit that like we understand and we get, but like the average person, a music NFT, like I just want to listen to a song. So it's like, that's a whole other, thing to think about, is the rebranding and the way that everything is presented, because perception is everything and the marketing is hella important. And especially if people think an NFT, these people that are just getting onboarded to other types of NFTs, if they think an NFT is a picture of a monkey and you're saying I have this music NFT, like that's already kind of confusing as well. So it's like we have to do our part to creatively present what it's called. You don't even have to call that shit an NFT if you don't want to. It's, it's art on the blockchain. It's whatever you want it to call it, and it still encases all of these different tools and different, abilities to add to your art. Even like calling it like your piece is your piece. Like we can, my song, as opposed to putting out a song on a DSP and that song is there, that's it. I can't fuck with the song. I can't re-upload the song. I can't change it. I can't add art. I can't do anything. Once you upload it, that it's uploaded, it's gone, it's distributed. This isn't like that. So it doesn't, we have to think about how motherfuckers are going to perceive everything. It's just like dropping a song, but now I can be uploading and upgrading this song and airdropping you different, different content and different behind the scenes shit that only you and motherfuckers that have this art piece, have access to, for the people that actually care. I think we have to rethink a lot of the ways that we're presenting it, first and foremost, before we even can think about the average person really getting it. It sounds like you have to make it palatable. And yeah, that, I was trying to remember one of my other points. There were so many like good points made while I was listening, But oh, and also, yeah, Zack was talking about how you're recalibrating and sometimes just needing that time and space to do different things that are not necessarily all, you know, work related. Don't get burnt out. Like, we do this because we love it. So it's like, obviously we need the money, and it's a grind either way, but make sure that you're having fun, you know. So if you're not, you know, do something else that is fun, you know what I mean? I just want to add that in there at the end.
Thank you, brother. I agree with everything you said. Go, you got something to add?
Sahtyre just made so many great points that I know we've talked about before in our spaces. And I know that Jacob, you personally have in your collections, rather than referring to a lot of your tokens as, you know, NFTs or tokens, you know, you've called things collectibles. And it just makes a lot of sense when trying to appeal to your, you know, main fan base and Web2 audience, because it's language that they're already familiar with, you know, things they can collect because they're huge fans of yours already, or maybe they're new fans, but they understand that language, and it's a scarcity concept, right? They can collect something of yours, and then it opens the door to maybe they can only because they have this collectible, can also get new items from you that are also scarce. And I think musicians that are trying to utilize Web3 who do adopt language like that will end up finding a lot more success when trying to beckon fans from the Web2 arena into Web3. Definitely. Because an NFT does come with a lot of strange connotations. Some are good, some are so-so, some are, you know, hugely negative, because, you know, in the media, there's a lot of bias against utilizing Web3 because, you know, I'm not trying to get political or anything, but the government is hugely against anything that is unregulated. And so the media is definitely pressed to put that out there that, you know, anything that goes wrong in the space, let's fire it up. Let's show how things are failing. So anything that artists of any kind, in any medium can do to make sure that the language is not alienating the audience is a great idea, is a great tactic. So I definitely agree with Sahtyre there. Like, yes, the definition of a non-fungible token is always going to be there. It's a tool, and people right here in the building for Web3 space are always, you know, there are a lot of silly people here that are not seeing the big picture, that NFTs are not just JPEGs. You know what I mean? Like, they're pretty convinced that this is just buying and selling JPEGs, which is not the case. It's an actual technological tool that lets you move assets around the blockchain. But what it does is it opens the door for you to actually solve real world problems, whether it's for artist content or solving technological issues in the world, like anything. I mean, sky's the limit. And then I wanted to bring I originally raised my hand because I wanted to comment on some of what Natalie had to say. I love her passion, love like how fueled she is, full of amazing ideas. Definitely first time hearing her speak, and that's amazing. She's got so many good ideas I wanted to just follow up on. And then also, like, the couple of things I did want to like tease out and talk about are some that I hear other people bring up that I have like firsthand experience with being actually kind of things that mire down the experience of actually helping people get things moving in Web3, which is like the DAO system. I'm a leader in a project right now that it is like trying to move a train through a river of molasses, because a DAO is usually very unsuccessful and hard to be agile unless it is VC backed with steady funds being poured into it. If it is just a DAO with its own NFTs being the liquidity pool, and the market is the subjectivity of its, like how volatile that liquidity can be, it is very difficult. And then you're also relying on whether the Gnosis SIG wallet is aligned with council members who are willing to work a lot of hours over the governance. So DAOs can be useful if they're worked in a certain way, but more often than not, they can make things very difficult. So that's something to be careful of. And then the other thing I wanted to bring up was, we all want to get in spaces more, right? We all want to tell musicians, get in spaces, get your name out there, get in spaces, get in spaces. But what I have noticed for a long time is that the types of spaces out there can be pretty toxic or damaging or discouraging, because a lot of them are hosted by just people who are there to engagement farm, right? And that in turn can be pretty discouraging and help you feel burnt out faster than you would otherwise, because they're there to just give you the mic and rip it away and give it to the next person. Like, so many different spaces or versions of like Twitter's Got Talent, So I really wish we, like, as a community of like good faith members, could kind of restructure and create a ripple effect of the types of spaces that are out there, that really, like the spaces that we're having right now, where we're actually we're having an intellectual conversation about the way we want this community to move forward, with a mix of actually sharing the talent, listening to each other's music, well balanced. And I think that's something that it's happened so much that, we're here, and Zack also shared how he felt like he's just having this crisis of identity and faith in what he's doing right now. And that's fair. I'm having one too. I'm not a musician, I'm a lyricist, but in everything else that I'm creating, the content that I'm creating, my identity in Web3, I'm like, right now I'm kind of feeling like, what am I even doing here? I'm very grateful for my partners in LowlyLabs being there for me. I'm not sure how I would feel without them, but it's a rough go. So I guess I'll wrap it up there.
Can I just please ask a question real quick? Because I honestly don't know. What if any platforms for buying like music NFTs and stuff allow you to just use a credit card and just like transfer that like immediately into Ether or whatever crypto, and like just buy the NFT like that, like really easily?
Pretty easy on OpenSea.
Yeah, Royal allows for it. I know that Yoshi Drops did when I was partnered with them, and they're partnered with Legend.
Okay.
So I'm sure there's probably a few others. I've just not really dived in.
Okay, because I know OpenSea, but obviously like everybody knows that name. I was just wondering, the other ones. Okay, so there are a couple that's so imperative. I'm like, we have to have that, because like people know how to open their phone and click Apple. You know what I mean? So it's like it has to literally be that easy. Otherwise, you have no chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. That's one thing that I love about Royal specifically is it lets you use, like, you can choose between credit card or Apple Pay. I used Apple Pay and successfully got a music NFT, and it creates your own crypto wallet off of that purchase. Like, it was easy as F.
That's amazing, actually. I didn't know about that. Thanks so much. Royal?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Royal IO. Do you know Blau in the space?
I don't, but I want to meet you, Blau, and nice to meet you.
Yeah, it's the platform he launched with Nas.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm checking it out right now.
Okay, so Gogo, thank you very much. That was beautiful. Both beautiful with what you said, but also beautiful because I felt like I was meditating at the top of Mount Everest with the birds and the chimes behind you. This turned into a mindfulness session real quick with that background. So I loved it. I'm not fucking with you. I really actually love it. It's so peaceful. And I'm jealous of where you are right now. Let me quickly get to Reason. There are so many things I want to say with what you said, but I want to hear from everyone else. So let's go to Reason. I know he had his hand up, and then Webstock after that.
Yo, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. Nah, I just wanted to sort of just like kind of piggyback off Sahtyre. Like I agree that it needs to be simple, right? The problem that we have with this onboarding space is this funny saying that I always toss around, which is, you know, a lot of people don't even have basic computer literacy. And I think when we onboard people into the space, if we decide to onboard people into the space or get more people into the space, you know, that's one thing that we have to be aware of, right? A lot of people don't even remember the password to their Apple ID, right? So we have to be able to go in and bring people in by making it super simple. And I think having platforms like Royal, right? Because I think that's amazing. The fact that you can go on there and purchase with your credit card and then turn around and create a crypto wallet. That's fucking amazing, right? Because like then you can easily onboard somebody into the space, right? Oh, how do I get in a music NFT? Oh, well, you can just go to Royal and do this and do that, and then boom, bop, bam, it's done, right? Like I just think that that's like super cool technology, and I would like to see that, you know, implemented across the board, right? Standardize that. Like that's super dope. So that's all. I just wanted to piggyback on that. I think that's like really interesting, and I think that I agree with that 100%. Right? We just need to be able to onboard people in a simplified, streamlined, standardized way that brings people easily into the space. People, you know, my auntie, right, wants to buy an NFT. How do I get her in? Right? So I just think that's interesting. That's all.
Yeah, I think this type of thing will happen naturally, just as Natalie said, when it's easy. And that will inevitably come because as people create more things, they're going to learn from their mistakes, learn from the feedback of others, and then tweak their platforms continuously until they reach a point where it is easy. And the technology does exist, but everyone is still trying to explore what that means. And there's a baby behind me crying. Sorry about that.
No,
way
you're
less
good.
peaceful than Gogo.
I don't hear it.
Oh, great.
Feed it.
I just want to say quickly, like for months, what I've been saying is that what I want to see, and I'm not a Solidity dev, so or a programmer. I mean, I've worked in IT, but I'm not this kind of programmer. But what I want to see, and what I think will make this happen eventually, is if we combine that kind of technology. You know, purchase an NFT with your credit card, it creates your crypto wallet. With the technology of Shazam. And once you're hearing a song on the radio that artist has made it available as an NFT, all you do is you press the button, helps you purchase the NFT. Boom, you've got it, and it's as easy as that. You've got your NFT.
Nah, that's fire. You can do that, like,
that's what I want to see. And if anyone's listening who's capable of creating some kind of technology, hit me up. Let's work together.
Yo, I really want to hear. I want to hear what Dill's thoughts are because I saw his hand up and like, that's my guy. Like, I really like Dill a lot.
Dill is a very sexy
Yeah.
individual, but let's get to Webstock first because he had his hand up, and then we'll
Yeah,
get to Dill.
yeah.
Well, and honestly, Dill is a co-founder of Webstock, so it's no problem at all. And I'll be very quick. Couple very quick points. First of all, agree with everything here. I think there's a very blurred line between speculative investment, toxic behavior, and a love of art and music, and a leverage to really do good things for the world with this technology. So that's why spaces like this are so vital. Shout out to Lowly. And I think also NFTs have become kind of a dirty word in culture over. If we're, in the world over, if we're talking about mass adoption, there's so much lack of education, and so much of this space has really catalyzed this super deep capitalistic nature of humans, such that there's a lot of toxic behavior. And for me, I know, like, I love Web3's critique on centralization. All of us growing up with the web, we see the problems of centralization, how all of the big fish end up getting, all of the money, all of the data, et cetera, et cetera. But I think it's important to think that, just to acknowledge that a lot of the new mega financial movements and movers and whales in the space come from the traditional finance world, come from that outmoded paradigm that so many of us here on sort of this part of the NFT space really want to use this technology to transform. For example, Dill and I were in a call with a potential investor, who we were hoping would maybe invest in the Webstock DAO. We're building a DAO that's a music festival. So we're really a long-term decentralized music festival production organization. And we are minting now. So welcome to join us, and very cheap now with ETH. But anyway, it was like, no, there was no way that a financial institution would invest in something, even though it was a DAO, but it was a DAO full of investors and Wall Street guys. They're not gonna invest in a music festival because that's not going to give an ROI in 6 months. So, just that highlights everything we're talking about and why it's so important for all of us to really be so visible and make sure that, we can foster a supportive community within this space. Very last thing, and also at Webstock, we actually do sell our DAO token in fiat. So if someone wants to be part of our music festival DAO, we've done it. We actually sell on Eventbrite DAO tokens. We've had a few people buy them. We literally set up a call with them, walk them through setting up a MetaMask wallet, give them a little talk about how to avoid scams, how to turn off DMs and all that. So, we're working towards that. It's awesome what Royal's doing too. But I think the more we have these types of conversations, the better off we're going to be. And that is what I want to say. So thank you, Lowly.
Yeah, awesome, Brian. Yeah, I mean, Webstock is awesome. I love what we're doing. And that's good to hear that you've sold some of them through the site, because, that was a great idea where we just put up the DAO token on Eventbrite, and then we just say, hey, look, if you want to buy with a credit card, buy it on Eventbrite, and then we'll help you get the NFT into your wallet. So that's great. Also on OpenSea, I'm pretty sure you can do buy with credit card now. I've never tried it, but pretty sure it comes up every time when you do a transaction that you can buy with crypto or buy with credit card. And then also to reply to what you described, GoGo, we basically have like 90% of what you said on Music NFT Radio operating right now live 24/7. We play music from NFT artists that are in Web3. All of the music can be seen on my Discord profile in real time. So you just click on my profile, you see exactly what song an artist is playing, and then you can easily just look them up on OpenSea or go to their Twitter, right? So that's kind of what we have now, and it's pretty much already 90% of what you described. It's not automated like Shazam, but you can actually just Shazam the song too. And that's one thing I tell people is if you don't want to look in the Discord, you could just Shazam a song that you like. But anyway, what I really wanted to talk about was onboarding, because onboarding is this constant conversation, and I know how important it is. I've been onboarding people to crypto since 2016, And then I've been posting on my social media since then about crypto for a long time too. So I've always tried to onboard people, and I already have all of my stuff set up to hopefully onboard people when they see all my stuff. So I don't want to take away from the importance of onboarding new people into Web3. But I do want to add this to the conversation. We have $1 billion opportunity right here in Web3 without onboarding anyone that doesn't have a wallet already, right? There is already $1 billion opportunity for any music NFT artist just getting collectors that are in PFPs and other types of NFTs over to music NFTs. And so I'm not saying that you shouldn't focus on onboarding the, random person who never heard of Web3, but at the same time, you got to realize the low-hanging fruit is to get more collectors to be interested in music NFTs. And that opportunity hasn't even been touched yet, like barely even 1%, in my opinion. So I kind of look at it like that, where it's like, yes, you can try to onboard all of your audience, but that takes time and it's difficult. And it's more of like a pull, not push. You can't force people to learn about Web3. I can just keep posting, telling my story, doing what I do. But if we can actually have more conversations like this and get people who are outside of the music NFT space to come over here, I mean, that is already $1 billion opportunity. We see PFP collections that do these insane numbers. If any solo music artist did any kind of numbers like that, around their album or their collection. And when I say solo, I just mean like one artist. They could be a team, right? They could have a whole community, all this stuff. But that is a huge opportunity. An artist could come in and make millions of dollars, and it really hasn't been done that well yet. And it just shows you how early we are in music NFTs. So I like to stress that point, which is like we can definitely onboard people to Web3, but that's a lot harder than just getting more people to come into music NFTs specifically.
So I'll just say one thing, and then I think we can wrap the onboarding kind of conversation up and move into something else, is that whenever you're trying to intrigue anyone to do anything, if you need to continuously push to try and drag them into a space or into your music or into your art or whatever you've created, it's obviously either not good enough or not ready yet. And so I think the onboarding conversation is necessary. It's really good to contemplate how we can eventually bring people into here, because all of us recognize how valuable this is. But as we've all said, it doesn't seem to be ready yet. If it was, people would come. It's like if you have really good music, people will find that music. And when I want to preface that with, I think something really good mixed with consistency is how you find people for anything. And so if this is a music NFT room, which it is, you're going to want to relate it to music and say you release a song every single month or every fortnight if possible, which isn't possible for most. If the music's fantastic and you just do that, you'll find people coming to you. And so if we need to be like, hey, like, come sit with us, let me show you how this works. Yes, it's complex, I know it is, but hey, like, believe me, like if you sit through this for half an hour to an hour, you'll get it. It's too difficult. Like, even if you can explain it and that one person does love what you've said and ends up joining the space, it's still such a mission to like slowly bring people here. And so I really do agree with the fact that people will eventually and inevitably come here when the space is ready for it. And so,
can I maybe wrap up just that? Oh, are you done, Lily? Because you cut out. I thought you were done.
Shit.
You like threw the mic out of the window.
Oh my God. I looked down at my phone. It said, looks like you're reconnecting. And then my balls shriveled. Anyway, go on.
Maybe to wrap up the conversation, and I'm gonna be super frank, as y'all know I am. One, if you're leading people to use their credit card to get an NFT and that shit doesn't end up in your own wallet, it ends up in a custodial wallet, not your keys, not your NFTs, not your damn wallet, not your crypto. And this was, we literally dragged flow of the blockchain through broken glass last year because their terms of service were hella whack. And so some of these brands, big brands that are coming into space, are using custodial wallets. And you, at any point, y'all maybe haven't been here long enough. Some of you have. There's been instances where people have been blocked out of Discords, their NFTs stripped of them. The custodial wallet's a platform just going to put out of the blue. And so if it's not going into your own wallet, your KuCoin wallet, your MetaMask, your blah 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 wallet, your wallet, not your damn NFT. And so need to be hyper careful. Lastly, and wrapping up the onboarding conversation, hopefully, is that not everybody, I think Kane and Easy and the homies, like they have a very they have the green thumb, they have the crypto thumb, and they're very good at onboarding. They're very good at educating people. That's not everybody's lane. And so like play your role in the ecosystem to build up the space. But if you don't want to talk to new people, or if you don't want to talk to people beginning in the space, like, shoot them over to Sahtyre or Easy and Crypto, or the communities that are holding space for those types of things. And so that you can at least lead them in the right directions, instead of just leaving them hanging, and maybe not put that upon yourself to do onboarding if you're not passionate about that. Like, I love that shit. I could sit in a room with Kane and Easy for like 10 hours straight. And that's what we just like, Billy's hanging out with us too. And like, that's what we used to do. And so it's not for everybody. And so just maybe point people in the right direction. It's the work I feel we need to do. I'll keep building ecosystems. And some people just want to create, and that's good. But we all have to play our role in the system, and maybe it's not that. That is hopefully the end of the onboarding situation.
Please, dear Lord, at the end of the onboarding. Oh my God. No, this has been good. I think this is helpful. And, I think like really trying to understand what it is that the space needs for people to arrive is a good thing to at least be across. So thank you, Natalie. Thank you, Zack, Sahtyre, GoGo, Reason, Webstock, Dill, obviously. I really appreciate the perspectives. And now I do have a question which I'm genuinely curious, because I don't have the answer to this. But how important is decentralization for all of these things? Is it actually necessary? Because we speak about decentralization and how beneficial it's going to be, but say you look at, what Dill is doing with the Web3 radio. Should that be a decentralized thing? Should he really expand upon that? Should record labels become decentralized? Maybe, maybe not. It's like, is I know it's what we're moving toward, and so I know it's positive, but how essential is it for the music industry to find that decentralization? And if it does, which areas should be decentralized?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think decentralization is a tool. I don't think it's a requirement. I don't think it's always the best thing. I think there's a lot of people that, kind of are decentralization evangelists, or whatever you want to call it. They just think everything should be decentralized, and I get that. And I think that we can get to a point where that's possible, but certain things make sense to be decentralized, and certain things don't, so I just think that there's different parts of it that should be decentralized. Is it awesome that NFTs are connected to a decentralized marketplace where anybody can build a trading venue to buy and sell NFTs? Yes, of course. That is a huge advantage of decentralization. Am I concerned about, am I super concerned when I buy an NFT, whether the metadata is stored on, a decentralized hosting or on chain or all this stuff? No, I'm not super concerned about that. As long as it's a reputable way of storing the NFT, right? I don't care if it's on IPFS or it's on chain. That stuff doesn't really matter to me. So yeah, and then I also think that certain things aren't ready for decentralization. Do I think decentralized music streaming is going to be huge? Yeah, it's going to be huge. I think it's awesome. But for now, I still think a valid strategy needs to focus on where the most listeners are for your music, and combine that with a strategy to move into NFTs and decentralized streaming, right? But while we're building there, it's I would still be focused on where the listeners are, and some of the centralized stuff. And Lowly, like your thread describes, I mean, it's these tools like YouTube, Spotify, all that stuff, they're still essential. They're not going anywhere. The best bet is to combine them with your Web3 and NFT strategy, in my opinion.
I want to push on that real quick and then see what other people have to say, because one thing that I've heard recently from someone who's pretty well connected to distribution sites, and I said this last time, so I won't speak on it for too long, is that Spotify, they're not there yet, and whether they fully get there is another question, but they are moving closer toward using algorithms and AI to generate their playlists. Now, there is a girl, I forget her name, she comes in spaces frequently. She's like the head of playlist curation in Warner. And so obviously there are still actual human beings, like obviously, curating a lot of these playlists. However, I think it is moving more toward the algorithms choosing what gets featured based off of what they crawl from TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and obviously how well you're doing on Spotify. And so we speak about AI and algorithmic kind of things within this landscape like a positive. But if Spotify itself was completely AI and algorithmic with their playlisting, I would be fucking devastated. Because then it's only based off the metrics and how much hype you have, and all the talented people who might not have the team to market or can't market themselves for whatever reason never get heard, and it becomes even more of a barrier. So when you say decentralized streaming, I would love to know a little bit more like how you think that's a positive thing.
Yeah, so the way that I see decentralized streaming working is that you incentivize the listener as well as the artist. I want to see decentralized streaming, which is not connected to the Web 2 and the copyright stuff as much, right? I think Emanate, for example, does an amazing job of their streaming, right? And Natalie knows all about it. I'm sure she loves that I'm shouting that out. But I've seen how they do it, and they do a wonderful job of having a new streaming experience that has an NFT integration there, and it's also in some way connected to the traditional copyright system, or at least you can put that information in. So they're trying to do it the right way. So I think all of that stuff is really cool. But what I want to see is like something where the person listening in Web3 is going to gain some kind of, benefit from listening, whether that's some kind of token, and it gets split with the artist. So honestly, this is kind of where I bring in the split royalties thing. I love the idea of split royalties in a Web3 streaming ecosystem where the artist can keep the copyright, but they can put their music into a shared royalty streaming site, right? And I think that is going to be super cool. The other thing I would love to see is a site where you can stake my NFTs. So someone could take my NFTs and then stake them into a streaming site. And that would somehow reward them for listening there, as well as give them a share of other people that are listening there, right? So I want to see real technology built with the NFTs that incentivizes the holding of the NFTs, as well as some kind of shared, sharing revenue with the fans type of Web3 focused experience where I get to still keep my copyright, but still let my fans get something for streaming,
Yo, Dill, did you ever use what.cd?
Never heard of that one.
It was a whatchamacallit, like a torrenting site. Like Kazaa or like MuTorrent, but it was private and invite only, and it literally had like the lossless version of every single song that like was ever known to man. And the way that it would work is like you would have to seed. So once you install or like downloaded like an album or whatever, like let's say I downloaded like 36 Chambers Wu-Tang Clan, like going back and refreshing on my 90s hip hop, like I would have to seed, like essentially keep that file on my computer and make it available for other people to download bits and pieces from me. And if you didn't seed enough, like you had a ratio basically, and if you didn't seed enough compared to how much you were actually torrenting, then your ratio would go below a certain level, and if it went too low, then you wouldn't be able to use the site anymore. So it already had pretty much like a crypto economic like framework built into it. You would just have to make that ratio into a token, and then
Exactly.
you could literally have it to where, like, okay, if I was one of the first people to, you know, buy this song or to seed this song or to stake this song, however you want to say it, and then, you know, down the road more people you know, wind up you know, staking it and downloading or whatever, then, like, you know, whoever was kind of in the first backers of that song could get, you know, like a higher percentage of the royalties from people who are monetizing it downstream, kind of thing. So then now you're actually incentivized to find the smallest, most undiscovered artists, right? Because you're not gonna get much for you know, staking Paris Hilton or like Migos, but like if you find someone that is, you know, really on the come up and you sort of are there before other people, then you kind of have the most upside. So yeah, this is something I've been thinking about a lot. We actually have built our own blockchain sort of around this concept, but just working through how we want to release it.
Yeah, that's cool. I definitely think there's big potential. It's kind of complicated tokenomics to get it all right, but I do think something like that, where it's like, as a listener, you think, okay, I can go listen on Spotify and listen to my normal playlist if I want, and I'm paying for that, or I can go listen on this Web3 streaming site, and maybe I'm making a little bit of tokens while I'm listening, right? And I'm discovering new music, and you know, maybe you think, okay, well, the music's pretty good and I like supporting this, and I'm actually making a little bit of tokens while I'm listening. So I think that would be the draw that would actually bring people to listen in Web3, because they could be like, okay, I'm earning something, I'm discovering new music. Maybe I buy a music NFT along the way. The main thing that I want to see is that it would be interoperable with anyone's NFT on ETH. Like, I see people doing something like this, but they're trying to do it in a closed ecosystem where it's like you have to mint the song on our platform and then do it. I think it would be awesome if I would be able to just say, hey, look, you know, here's my whole album, Crypto Rich. Here's the NFTs that are enabled for it. And then anyone could just come stake those any of those NFTs that I designated, and that would be connected to the songs that I designated too. So, I mean, when someone gets that right, it's going to be really cool.
Okay, sound waves.
Yeah, fascinating conversation. I've been thinking about like decentralized streaming as well, and I mean the reason why Spotify is centralized is because they have the resources to have storage and to serve up those songs like instantly to people. So that's going to be kind of an issue if we do have to build it out. But we all have phones, and all these phones have mad gigabytes on them, you know? So if there was a way to like collect these NFTs and how, like they were saying earlier, seed them or stake them. So essentially we'd have like a mesh network across the globe of NFT owners, and they would seed their NFT to provide that storage and streaming, like upload whatever. Then we could incentivize the people that seed, we could incentivize the listeners, we could incentivize the music producers, all the way down to the STEM producers. So I think in order to build a decentralized streaming platform that really works, we have to monetize and tokenize all the different models, from a person that just created a beat to someone that took that beat and produced a track to the person that added vocals to that track. But on top of that, the other side is the listener. So imagine even just listening to a song, you get a little bit of token. Incentivize listeners. All you got to do is download this app and curate songs. You get a little bit of tokens. If your playlist blows up, you get a little more tokens. If you find hidden gems, you get a little more tokens. And the people that own the NFTs, they'll be able to seed, like how the old torrent sites used to work. They could seed or stake those NFTs, and every time someone plays that track, those micropayments would be split among the producer, the stem owner, the listener, and the person seeding. Because if we really want to pull off a decentralized streaming, we have to solve the storage issue first. But we all got phones, we all got mad storage, we all got internet access. All of us together, like in an ideal world, we got more storage than Spotify.
Yeah, I mean, something with like IPFS or Arweave or something like that. I think, yeah, decentralized storage can definitely outperform centralized storage. I was wondering what you thought about like samples, interpolations, even like inspiration. Like if you like what if you had it, and like this could be a little bit sci-fi, but like obviously if you sample something in a Web2 context, you're gonna have to pay some kind of royalties for that. Or even if you remake a sample but it's basically the same musical structure, you could owe some money on that. But what about even like inspiration too? Like rappers always talking about like, oh, he bit my style, like i did I did that, I was doing that years ago, and now everyone's like giving him credit for it, like that kind of thing. But like even with like AI, you could figure out like who was the first person to like do a certain style, and like actually like literally pay them material homage every time like someone does like a derivative of that. But so that's kind of like the, I think, like a further extent of it. But how do you think that would work together with like samples and just the way that music is all connected with each other?
I think there would have to be some kind of audio verification. So when someone were to upload a sample, like say a stem, if there was a way to tie the least significant bits of the audio to the blockchain to verify that this song comes from this wallet, kind of like a proof of provenance of audio, but in a way where if that audio is played in any other track, or if that audio is used in any other production, the chain would kind of verify where that audio came from and split the royalties accordingly. Also, it would help against reduplication. Like if someone tried to mint the same song, it wouldn't work. I know there's people working on that. Like there's my homie Ruben's working on like an open audio API where people upload their audio and it takes the least significant amount of bits to verify that audio came from this address. I think we're still a really long way away from that, because that would change the game in a lot of different like uh spectrums or whatever. But there's got to be a way to verify audio, and I think that's going to be the way to protect sample producers, to protect vocalists, everyone that makes audio, basically. But I have a homie, his name's Ruben. He's working on that.
I love Ruben. He hurts my brain all the time. ModaDAO's already working on what they call fingerprint technology to do all of these things, to collect royalties, to I mean, I have my own issues with the copyright system in the States and the Western world, but they're already working on that. You can check it out and do your own research. I posted a tweet. I hope that was okay at the top. There's also, as far as like decentralized streaming, there's already several players in the ring at this moment. There's Tamago, which is on the Near ecosystem there, and I think they pay, quote me on this, 35 to 65 cents a stream, or will be eventually. There's M&A Transparency, I work there, up to 10 cents. There's Audius, they pay in their tokens sometimes. And there's also like several other players that I always kind of connect with and support, and they're coming out of Norway and Estonia, and there's another player coming out of Southeast Asia, and so they're kind of working in the background to like do these decentralized streaming platforms. But the problem is that y'all can be on Spotify if you want. I'm never going to tell artists not to, but they pay 0.0003 cents, and you have to battle that algorithm. You have to battle the playlisters. If you don't have the money to are in community with the right playlisters, then you're climbing up an uphill battle. And so I'm constantly asking people, do you actually believe in Web3? Do you believe in blockchain technology? Do you believe in the stuff that my peers and I are actually trying to build? And my peers are many of you. My peers are the creators and artists in the space. My peers are the technologists and these nerdy blockchain folks that I hang around. And they're trying to build like this ecosystem up. They're building these decentralized music platforms, these streaming platforms, music NFT platforms, like all these different things. But if we actually don't believe in these things and don't exist there, then what is the point of building those things? Like the realities that we're, at least for me, it's not just about decentralization, although I'm probably a hardcore proponent of it, and always have been and will continue to be. It's because I understand, like, go research music history and go watch a TLC documentary. Shout out to TLC, and they got, excuse my language, royally fucked by the music industry. Go check out the kind of co-optation of like hip hop. Like, go read Dan Charna's book, The Big Payback. Like, go read these things, go do the research. I'm not saying all my friends in the music industry are bad, but the system is inherently antiquated and problematic. And so at least I can speak for myself, what I'm trying to build here is an ecosystem that, you know, is rooted in equity and actually sees creators and centers them and listens to them and holds space for them, but more importantly, collaborates and builds these things with these artists and creators. So these streaming platforms, like, we need people to like upload their music and, you know, do their NFT drops. And I don't know that saying, hey, like, here's my royalties is a hill that we need to be climbing. Like, I get people want to incentivize listeners to like listen to their stuff, but we're going back into the system, and everything that we do in this space, of kind of jumping around here, like, we're training people in reality, just being, you know, we're training people's behavior. And if that's the road we're going to get to, we're going to continue to like circle back and like go back into the same like system that I'm trying to run away from. And so to be very honest, and so I think, at least that the stuff that I'm building in the space, not just at Emanate, but in the DAOs and stuff, is like, how do we actually overly resource creators and artists and like whatever you want to label yourself as? And that has to look very different than the shit that I came from. That has to look very different than a system that reels people into getting a major record label deal, and it's in reality it's just a loan. And so with often people, many of my friends haven't even, you know, I have a friend that I just linked them up with my homegirl who's a dope ass lawyer, and they're literally battling with one of the biggest companies in the world who doesn't even have this record label anymore 20-30 years later to get their damn masters back. And like, they have laws in place and they're still trying to fight them. And so these are the kind of things that happen, and people need to understand that this is not just about decentralization. This is not just about these kind of seemingly high level principles and pillars and values. It, like, this is the battle zone right now, and like, we have to kind of draw the line and huddle the line at some point and really ask ourselves, like, why are we here? And I need people to believe in this shit. And and yeah, again, if you want to be on Spotify, great, but like, we, you know, these things can't exist without y'all and supporting these platforms and us supporting you, and like it being a circular economy and not just a top-down economy where white dudes that don't look like me, to be very frank, and are like in their 80s, are dictating the terms of how we exist here, and we're able to work in tandem to build the things that we actually need and feel good. And so I and not just for us in the States, but people in Venezuela, in Nigeria, in Colombia, and, you know, all in Malaysia and all these other places too that we're working with. And so those are some things to sit on, just rhetorical questions. So
Yeah, and that's one of the double-edged swords of decentralization, because there's pockets of people building tools that are essentially puzzle pieces, and someone has to go out there and put all the puzzle pieces together. So it's beautiful that for the most part they're all open source, and you can take this, take that, and build something with the different tools. But the difficult part is finding them because of the decentralized nature. But like, a lot of these ideas, maybe someone thought of it that no one's even heard of, and he's working on that in a small little pocket. We don't know who they are. It's all puzzle pieces, and it's up to us to put the puzzle pieces together to build something beautiful.
Yeah, you know, I agree with that 100%. And to what Natalie said, you know, one thing that I really want to see is a world where artists are keeping their copyright, like, just straight up, where you can monetize the music a different way, where you can actually keep 100% of your copyright for the long term. and not have to get in these terrible label deals. So I mean, that's kind of the future that I want to see for music NFTs. And I also think there's like a false assumption that you have to like give your collectors a share of the royalties in order to incentivize them to stream. Like that is just not true, right? Like anyone who's holding my NFTs, I think is incentivized enough to stream and listen to my music, just by holding that NFT and being a part of the community. It already functions as the same type of asset you're trying to create by connecting the royalty, in my opinion. So, I mean, nothing against connecting the royalties to your NFTs, but I do think that it's not correctly rated in terms of like how it actually corresponds to whether or not people are going to support you more.
Sahtyre.
Oh, my bad. I fucking thought I hit the button. Yeah, I feel like there's ways to utilize Web2 to bridge the gap, as far as like incentivization. Like if my collector, and this is what I did for my first drop, which was shit almost 2 years ago now, and I'm about to do my next one finally next week actually. The thing is like you can release a different version of that song on streaming platforms, and your collector, especially if it's a one of one, they actually, they hold the actual Picasso. Like if your song runs up, 1 million streams on whatever platform, and it's a different version, that's essentially just like a print. You go to the fucking museum and you can just get a picture of the painting, but it's not the painting. So it damn near makes your blockchain piece more rare. You know what I mean? And again, like that, the average person is only going to listen to it like that anyway. But if you're trying to get them incentivized, that might even work opposite too, because they've only heard this version of the song. Oh shit, there's a third verse on it. I never knew about that, but it only exists in this one place that you have to buy directly from the collector, which actually supports the artist. Now if you care that much, now you can go, do that. If not, listen to this other version, and I still get paid, fractions of a fraction of a fraction of a cent to, in effect, make my actual one of one pieces more rare.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that the most basic standard utility for a music NFT should be having it on all sites available. I mean,
Exactly.
if you want to create a niche NFT that's kind of like hidden away on the blockchain, and that's your whole goal, then I think then okay. But if you want to make like hit records that are available as NFT, then I think the most basic utility is having that song distributed correctly and on all streaming sites. So yeah, in my opinion, like that is what the future of music NFTs looks like, is NFTs that are representing these songs that are available in many different ways. So to me, that's an essential piece of a strategy, unless it's like a collectible NFT. If it's like something different, audio NFT, music NFT with a different goal. But as far as like releasing actual songs, I'm more interested in that approach than like a blockchain only release, because I don't know how a blockchain only release has that bigger vision. Now, some people have been successful with it. You can have your little community, all that. But yeah.
What do you mean by bigger vision, Dill?
So the bigger vision to me is that you want to have, NFTs for songs that actually have the potential to, get 1 million streams, like Sahtyre said, or even go farther. Who knows? Get millions of streams, go onto the Billboard, hit the charts, right? And so to me, that's what's going to drive a lot of value for a music NFT, is having it, connected to records that actually go do big numbers and, make a, change the artist's career path in life. And so I think that, that's what gives the artist more opportunities. That's what gets them on bigger stages. That's what gets them doing more shows. That's what gets them more opportunities to do merch and other type of things they want to do. So to me, in order to facilitate that growth, you're going to want to have the music available on streaming, and you're going to want to have a YouTube video I mean, look at the release strategy Lowly laid out for how he got 300 million on YouTube. So I think that when you're able to execute that strategy with NFTs connected to it, that's when you're going to have some really big successful collections, in my opinion.
Does the average artist have $100,000 per region, and that's just like starting, especially like if you're doing hip hop to like push your music? Do you have money for a radio campaign? Do you have music to hire like a publicist, not like any old publicist, but a publicist that has like the right connections? Like the reality is that uh, everybody has, you know, Lowly's big vision may be something else. Your big vision may be to be on Lollapalooza or Coachella. Hopefully one day we'll see you there. But you know, and other artists may want to just throw their own damn events or start their own festivals. Latasha does Zoratopia and like does a damn good job of curating that. And like that may be just one part of Latasha's dream, and she's done actually extremely well. And she used to be, I believe, connected to a record label. I don't think that that's her big dream anymore. And so there's other people like Keno or like Black Dave. Like Black Dave's wanting to curate and do streetwear stuff and anime and like all these other things, and like that's Black Dave's big dream. For me, like I think it's important for people to understand how much money it costs to actually push just a radio campaign or just to like get on these prominent playlists or to get out there and have the connections to be able to push your stuff if that is your big dream. And that's, and I can't say anything about that, like I can't respect that, but I think if we're able to say, hey, like Lowly, do you like, is your big dream to do a big ass festival? Like how can we resource that? Or is your big dream you know, whoever, like your big dream to do like a dope ass music video? Like how do we resource that shit in this space? And like but again, like everybody has their own big dream. I'm just wanting people to be like aware that that big dream of being on the radio actually costs something and may not even be just finances. And so just saying that.
Yeah, I hear you, but like it doesn't have to cost something, right? Like
But it
there's all
does.
types of stuff. Well, I mean, like you can get a lot of streams from TikTok. You can build up your audience like Lowly did by releasing every month on Spotify and, you know, naturally build it. So there's a lot of ways that you could become successful. And I think that, you know, artists that actually connect a strategy for marketing the music to their, you know, NFT approach with Web3 are going to be in a good position. But I don't think it has to be a paid strategy. Like you can start out doing all these different things that have worked for other artists. I mean, who knows what's going to work for the next big artist of Web3? But I would encourage artists to explore all different opportunities to get your music out there, and you don't have to pay. Like I disagree. Like you don't need a $100,000 marketing budget to make a hit song. I feel like there are people doing it every day on TikTok with nothing.
I don't like, I mean we can go back and forth or whatever, but like I come from at least a dark corner of the music industry, and if you're specifically in hip hop and wanting to push your music on the radio and get those campaigns, and you need to have like an agent if you want to get on some of the big festival stages, at least like a prime spot. You need money to resource yourself. This is not, I mean, you can go like research Wendy Day, you can go research some other homies or whatever. That's a given. Like if you don't have the budget to invest in building that up, and yes, there are some artists that have gone viral, but there are a lot more artists that we're seeing on these main stages that maybe you don't see it on the front end, but in the back end, their labels or whatever handlers are seating people, and they're paying for that shit. They're paying for prime stages. They're paying like I used to do shows, and people used to offer me hella money to get prime slots on fucking shows in New York City, and I'd be like, no, I don't want to take your money. So you're crappy artists, and just these artists were literally not even artists, like just being honest. And so they would hand over like thousands and thousands of dollars to some promoters in New York City, and that's how they would get on these stages to open up for these big acts. Like this is a common thing. Like unless you have the connections and you're able to maneuver in that space, and you don't you have like the right agent or at least the right manager or the right lawyer, you're gonna be paying something. And so I do hope at least like some artists, whatever your big dream is, like you're able to accomplish that. Just know that there are a lot of mirages in the music industry, and we need to kind of uncover and unveil that stuff and really understand what's happening. But I do believe Web3 music will, if we hold on to the values and pillars here and like really understand like why we're here individually and collectively, if you haven't already, like that we're able to kind of break past those norms and actually do something different that doesn't require people to spend fucking ridiculous amounts of money or give up a lot of shit or creative being to actually maneuver wherever they feel like they want to be. And so yeah.
Yeah, yo, I really fuck with like a lot of what you're saying, because just to clarify what I was on is like I was speaking just really from personal experience, and for a lot of like artists that I know, a lot of homies that I have a sustainable audience. I fucking whatever, I sustain myself off of music for years, whatever, do tours, all of that. But I see Web3 as the tool to be able to deliver a unique experience directly and ongoing in perpetuity to the people that truly care on the different level of the people that just hear me on whatever playlist or whatever passive listeners. Because you got your passive listeners, you got your people that'll come to the show, you got your people that'll come to your show out of town, then you got the people that's going to buy all the merch at the table, and then you have the people that will go download a wallet and do whatever else and buy ether in order to get a different version or a more in-depth experience directly with you. So like for me personally, I wasn't talking about like radio artists necessarily, although they can use the same strategy. To me, it's something that can be freeing for artists of all really statures, especially artists, particularly artists that aren't on major labels and stuff, because you get to utilize as many different tools as possible to not just generate money and build your community, but to also deliver different levels of the experience for the people that care. Because that's the thing, is you have different levels of fans with different commitment levels and interest levels. And I think of it, a lot of people have said it before. Somebody I think even said it in the space. It's you can think of it like a Patreon in certain ways. It's like, all right, I can put this song out, this one version of this song that doesn't include whatever the third verse and these other strings and this breakdown. That's my masterpiece version. That's my one of one version that only one collector is going to get to enjoy, because they deserve it. They're paying a price for it that's going to take me until I hit 1 million streams on that song to even make half of that, really. So it's like, it's not about necessarily for me one or the other. It's about figuring out how to utilize both to infuse the other.
Big facts. And this is really, really like educational. And I've been having a lot of thoughts during, Dill, Natalie, and Sahtyre kind of bringing up these points. And in regards to like the money thing, I feel like it is true within the industry. Like when you've really spent time in the industry itself with management, labels, and whatnot, you start to realize more and more that it is a fucking pay to play. Like everyone's paying to get on radio. People are paying to get Billboard fucking top 100. Like Illa speaks about it all the time. It's just what people are doing. However, on the other side, there are algorithmic platforms which, if you work them correctly, you can have viral moments. And viral moments are easier than ever. They're still difficult, but they're easier than ever because things like TikTok and Reels do exist where people are just scrolling through that shit all the time and things are going viral left, right, and center. And so knowing both of them, like, I feel like when you're, a thought I was having when you were speaking about streaming itself with NFTs and decentralization and all that shit, it's like what I was kind of thinking in the future, just an idea, is imagine Spotify as it is right now. However, the release day is not different to the mint day. And so when you distribute a song, say you distribute independently or you're with an actual company, like whatever the platform is that replicates Spotify in this scenario, when you distribute that song, it also comes through as an NFT at a certain quantity which you decide. And so it can be 100, 1,000, like whatever it is that the platform allows for. And through randomization, which is how a lot of these mints work, you know, if you go mint to Bored Ape, you were lucky enough, you might have got one with the crown, you might have got one with nothing. Like through randomization, the song itself stays the same, but maybe the platform does what Royal has done, where they have a different border and the artwork is exactly the same, but the border could be silver, gold, diamond, and someone gets that. Now the experience itself is no different as you listen to the song, but when you tap that on your own phone with your own account, it might come up that you have the diamond version. Doesn't mean the song's different. Maybe the utility is different if you want it to be. But I think, you know, thinking about streaming services and Web3, they should, I feel like there is an opportunity where they could coincide and they could be synonymous with one another, where the release date is no different from the mint date. It is an NFT. Everyone can listen to the song, but those who opted in to potentially receive that mint and paid whatever the mint price was, they might have a rarer one. And so like when you listen to that song itself, maybe there's a button down the bottom next to the shuffle and you can go and look at all the other rare pieces. And if you feel like you want that rarer one, you can go ahead and get it. Or you can trade with someone else who might be willing to trade, like a Kendrick Lamar for a Post Malone or something like that. And I'm looking into what Spotify is doing with canvases right now, because you don't actually need to have the artwork itself. And I'm wondering how it could work with that technology, where you might have a visual NFT that you upload, or maybe it is just the artwork, or it could be a dynamic message because every single account has a name attached where it says, "Hi Jacob, blah blah blah," and as you listen to the song, it actually mentions you and it actually like has a message for you. Brainstorming as fuck right now, but I think it is interesting when you think about NFT streaming, the opportunity to present rarities that might make people value the song even more and feel more connected to that piece. Because let's be real, a goblin looks like shit at 0.1 ETH, but a goblin looks really, really good at 9 ETH, you know? And so if you have that you've got that rarer piece, the song is kind of sounding better because you got lucky and got the diamond, you know? And so these are just ideas that were kind of swirling around my mind when you were talking about streaming and NFTs. I feel like they should be cohesive and they should coincide and kind of be one thing in the future.
That sounds bomb. That kind of sounds like what Sound is doing, essentially, where they have these like countdowns, and then you know, once the countdown begins, everyone can hear the song, and then they have like, you know, 25, 50, or 1,000 NFTs that people can buy at a certain price. I think, yeah, then it gets cool when the streams kind of like plug in with the NFTs as well.
Yeah, I mean that's cool what you described, Lowly. It's like on some level it could be like microtransactions or something like this, even where who knows? I mean, I kind of think of like the whole Fortnite skins and stuff like this, where like maybe you could just own a copy of it like that digitally. Maybe it could have some special, unique experience like you described. But yeah, I mean that's kind of already what we're creating here in a lot of ways too. So yeah, we'll see where it goes. It'll be cool. I mean, it'll be cool if you can just integrate your NFTs directly to Spotify, right? Like that would be best case scenario, in my opinion, if you can just connect whatever NFT you want directly to your Spotify and have it come up right there.
Or just something in, what if like it came out on Spotify, then you could pay extra for a unique NFT of it. So then everyone can stream, anyone can stream. You still have that